Our finance minister recently released the fall economic statement. There was nothing in there for Alberta. What would you do in this moment?
I'm glad you asked that, because we are in a crisis position right now. The city of Calgary has unprecedented levels of vacant office space. The number of jobs that have been eliminated has affected thousands and thousands of workers, billions of dollars of foreign investment into Canada, the best types of investment when other businesses in other countries put their dollars into our country, that's left now. And the discount on Western Canadian energy versus what other countries are getting around the world is astonishing. And it's having a huge impact on not only the province of Alberta, but on Canada as a whole, because when we have that massive discount, we're providing the United States with cheap energy, cheap fuel, that they're getting at a massive discount, and we're getting less money in terms of royalties and income tax and revenues for the government. What we expected in that fall economic update was something, some type of proposal that would help turn the corner on that. We still don't have Trans Mountain under construction. Justin Trudeau's killed the two other pipelines that would have brought our energy to other markets. I had a great conversation with Prime Minister Modi of India when I was in India last month. And India right now has to purchase its oil from countries that don't have anywhere near the same human rights protections, environmental standards as we do. They even had to buy recently oil from Iran. So I said to Prime Minister Modi, I would love for Canada to be able to sell energy to you. Conservative government will get our pipeline issue resolved so we can get that product to market. We'll get a better price for Canadians, and it'll be better for both countries. So we were hoping to see something in the economic update that would have spoken to any aspect of that, either getting pipelines built, getting energy companies to propose new pipelines, anything at all. There wasn't anything. That's so disappointing.
How do you fix the problem that Canada seems to be divided on that issue? I don't want to say it's a West versus East kind of an issue, but how do you fix that problem? How do you bridge that divide?
I actually think there's less division than some people think. I think we have a very small but very vocal number of groups who are opposed to the energy sector in principle. They make no secret about it. When you go to their websites and when you listen to the speeches of people like the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, when you listen to Justin Trudeau himself, when he says that he wants to phase out the energy sector, they're being backed by groups that don't want any energy development in Canada. But the vast majority of Canadians understand the benefits to the entire economy to have a vibrant energy sector. I think in order to get more support in places that are not net exporters of energy in Canada, like in Ontario, Quebec, and the Atlantic provinces, we talk about what's actually happening today. The motorists filling up their car in Eastern Canada, a good percentage of that is coming from foreign oil. It's coming from places like the United States, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela. So when I talk to people in those provinces, I say, how about I tell you a story about a country that can get energy from one part of it into the other, displacing foreign oil. So we're not sending dollars to the regime in Saudi Arabia or Venezuela. You can fill up your tank with Canadian energy that's extracted at a very high environmental standard. Those profits from that extraction go into Canadian pension funds and fund Canadian services like healthcare and roads all across the country. They support that. So I think that's how we frame the conversation. We can get we can bridge that divide.
The government announced that there would be a $600 bailout, if you will, for media. You were opposed to that, or you voiced some opposition towards that. And I'm wondering, what solution would you propose?
Well, first, if I can just touch on that for a moment. We've seen a long list of examples with this government that what they promise to be independent is never independent. Take the Senate, for example. They claim that they've got independent senators who just happen to vote with the Liberals every single time. They appointed a commissioner for elections debates unilaterally without any consultation from the opposition parties as to the parameters of how these debates would happen. They just dictate things, that who will be allowed to participate in the debates. They've got legislation right now going through the House of Commons changing the rules for the elections, ramming that over the objection of the other party. So we have big concerns anytime the Liberals try to promise anything's going to be independent. We're very concerned about the fact that we need to have a vibrant and independent media in this country. And the media is made up of different aspects. There's print journalism. My father worked at a newspaper. I have a long tradition in our household of having lots of newspapers around. There's digital, there's broadcast. Each one of those has different concerns, challenges. What I'd prefer to see is where we make sure that the content creators are able to earn income from what they're actually creating. So we have a system right now where other types of platforms like Facebook, Google, news aggregators, they get a lot of ad revenue because of the content that journalists are creating. That revenue is not shared at all with the people who are actually creating the content. So I've had some discussions with people in the media industry that say, perhaps there's some regulatory changes that we can look at, or accommodations that the government can help bring the different parties together to say it's not fair for a social media platform that doesn't spend any dollars in creating the content that goes through the news feed, but earns a huge chunk of the revenue based on the advertisements because there's so many eyes on that platform. There has to be a way that we can support the content creators through a market-based solution. That's my preference.